No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of WWE Payback 2023. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. It's been a busy day, to say the least, in the world of wrestling. A lot happened today. We had Payback, of course, and CM Punk was fired from AEW. We did a live stream about that earlier on. Check that out if you missed it. This stream is about WWE and the Payback pay-per-view. Shout out to Gomer Kyle and Dave Scheffler, who sent in super chats. I will read those in just a little bit. They are starred on StreamYard. I will get to them, I promise. Let's talk about the opening match of the show, which was Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in a steel cage match. Now, I was pleasantly surprised by this match. This could have been the main event. Dare I say, I thought this might have been the best match of Trish Stratus's entire wrestling career. And this includes everything she did during her main run with the company from 2000 to 2006. It felt like Trish went out there and had something to prove, wanted to show everybody that she could perform at a high level with the modern women's division. And I think she pulled it off. Shout out to Caleb Jacobs. Caleb, I will get to your super chat in just a little bit. I'm trying to stay on topic, but I promise everyone your super chats will be read. Really solid cage match here. Back and forth, very competitive. They actually used the cage. They were throwing each other into the cage, sending each other in head first. Becky then powerbombed Trish out of the corner. Trish was able to kick out of it. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." I like the callbacks that we had in this match. Trish at one point busted out Victoria's Widow's Peak. Becky kicked out of that. And then later, Becky used Lita's Twist of Fate on Trish. Trish kicked out of that. Trish did hit the Stratusfaction Bulldog. Becky kicked out. And then Trish hit another one off the top rope, an Avalanche Bulldog. Becky once again kicked out. They both tried climbing out. They were both on top of the cage. Becky ended up pulling Trish back to the top rope and giving her a superplex. Really well executed superplex. Crowd was giving them a standing ovation for this. Becky managed to put an arm over Trish, but Trish was just barely able to kick out. I was really enjoying the match, and I thought to myself, they should really just let this match be a clean finish. We did not need the outside interference, but guess what? We got the outside interference, which might be the only negative. It's the tired out, routine interference in a match where there's not supposed to be outside interference. Zoe Stark shows up, and we got the mandatory slamming the cage door. Zoe slammed the door into Becky's face. They pretty much do it for like every steel cage match in wrestling. Like there are so many of these slamming the door spots. It's hard to find a cage match where they don't have a spot where somebody's face is getting hit with the cage door. And I'm also thinking to myself, where is Lita? This would have been the time for Lita to show up and even the odds. But no Lita. And Becky somehow managed to fight them off despite being outnumbered, Becky ended up taking out Zoe Stark, and then Trish attempted to escape. Becky caught her, gave her an avalanche manhandle slam, scored the victory. Other than the outside interference, match was great. And then afterwards, we had the breakup of Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus. Trish was not happy with Zoe. She slapped her. Zoe went over to seemingly leave, but then shut the door, came back. Trish continued to talk smack, and that's when Zoe laid out Trish Stratus with the Z360. Seemingly, this is the end of Trish's run. Zoe Stark goes babyface. I did think it was a great angle. An overall awesome match. I think maybe this would have been perfect in the main event spot. It felt pretty epic and was closure to a storyline that was a bit lackluster, but I definitely think they delivered big time. And I do think that this might have been the best match of Trish's career. So for that, I say thank you, Trish. There you have it. Next up, we had John Cena come into the ring. John Cena was the host for Payback. He said that as host, he wanted to do something really special. And he decided he was going to be the special guest referee for The Miz versus LA Knight. Yeah. Miz came down to the ring. Miz was clearly not happy about this. Cena asked for some advice, and Miz said that Cena needs to be more involved. Cena agreed, and he showed that he actually had a referee shirt to be more involved than just out there in his t-shirt. LA Knight was introduced. John Cena was saying, yeah, and Knight came out. We had the match. Miz was stalling. This was a long match, longer than I was expecting, and I guess with John Cena in there, it made sense to maximize your minutes with Cena. If Cena was not out there, I think this match would have dragged, because I don't think anybody really thought The Miz had any chance of winning. It felt like it was going on for longer than it needed to, but with Cena out there, I was definitely invested, and they incorporated Cena into the match. Cena was pulling The Miz away because Miz wasn't breaking the 5 count, and then he did the same thing with LA Knight. He was playing it down the middle, being a fair referee. Match was back and forth. Miz definitely got in some offense. It was not one-sided by any means. Miz's downfall was when he mocked John Cena's 5-knuckle shuffle. LA Knight took advantage of this, hit the blunt force trauma, and scored the 1-2-3 victory. And after the match, despite Cena and LA Knight arguing during the match, Cena raised Knight's hand, gave him the handshake, and gave the big endorsement to LA Knight. This was huge for LA Knight. He's definitely getting pushed now. We all wanted it. We're getting it now. When John Cena is endorsing you, the company is now trying to make something out of you. And time will tell if LA Knight can keep the momentum going. But as of now, he's got the whole world in his hands, to quote the late, great Bray Wyatt. Now, we do have a few super chats here related to the match. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, how about John Cena versus Cody Rhodes and RIP Jimmy Buffett? Definitely RIP Jimmy Buffett. I think about when Steve Austin and The Rock sang Margaritaville on that episode of Raw. That was something. I mean, that invasion storyline was definitely peaks and valleys, and that was entertaining for what it was. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I would be all for it. I would love to see that match. Maybe Cody, not sure what the WrestleMania plan is at this point. Could go several different ways, but maybe Cody actually does win the World Heavyweight title at some point, and maybe John Cena could challenge Cody Rhodes and try to win that record-breaking, what is it, 17 or 18 now? I'm not even sure what the number is at this point. D. Martin 5th sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, do you think that LA Knight will bring back his old phrase, dummy, yeah, and his old segment from Impact, the fact of life, anytime soon? I think in an interview, he said that he was trying not to use that term, but he wasn't ruling out the possibility of bringing it back. I know when he was out there, there was a very clear sign in the crowd, dummy, yeah. So there are people that remember that, and why not? I mean, people liked it, so you might as well use it in WWE. It's fresh in WWE. It hasn't been used in WWE before, although I think he may have said it once on TV, called somebody a dummy, but really hasn't tried to use it as a catchphrase or anything. And yeah, they could always do a talk show with him, but right now I think that's not necessary with the push they're giving him. The talk show thing is more for the guy like Grayson Waller, who's kind of in the mid card as a heel. LA Knight's a top babyface now, so he doesn't really need the show at this very moment, as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's move on here. Good stuff here with John Cena putting over LA Knight. We had Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. Match was all right. Wasn't really anything out of this world by any means. It was a good match, but it could have been a SmackDown TV main event. It was solid. I just really do not care too much about Theory at this point. And I feel like this is all slowly building towards Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar. Mysterio picked up the victory here, countering A-Town Down, got the win. Not too much to say about it. It was a good match. And then we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending the tag team titles against Damian Priest and Finn Bálor of the Judgment Day. And I have to say, this match was incredible. This was a match that I think Terry Funk would be proud of. Maybe the best match of the night. The cage match was really good, and this was excellent. And this was the match that I felt was the most difficult to predict. All the other matches, I felt very confident with my pick. This one, not so much. I felt this one definitely could have gone either way. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, do you think John Cena's prophecy about Theory came true? Yeah, in a way, I do feel that way. John Cena talked about Austin Theory leading up to WrestleMania, and I feel like he was dropping some truth bombs. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure what Theory needs at this point. Maybe you keep building up him and Waller as a tag team, but he needs something. He just feels like he's fizzling out without Vinnie Mac right there by his side. Now, this was a Steel City street fight, and I do want to give credit to Pittsburgh. They were red hot for this show. They were into most of the things that were happening on this show. They were loud. They brought the energy. These guys were fighting all over the place. We had the weapons, chairs, kendo sticks. Finn Balor pulled out one of those Pittsburgh towels and stepped on it to get the heel heat. Great stuff. And they fought in the stands. And then Dominic Mysterio showed up. Dominic and Judgment Day were gloating. And that's when Owens and Zayn reemerged from under the penalty box or whatever they have there. The little concession production area. I'm not even sure what it is, but they came out. They were wearing these Pittsburgh Penguin jerseys, and I don't know the players, so can't really be too informative there. But they had the jerseys on. They had some hockey sticks. Kevin Owens had gotten busted open. I presume it was the hard way. I'm not sure what exactly caused him to start bleeding, but yeah, Owens juiced, probably the hard way. And they got back into the ring. Zayn hit the Blue Thunder Bomb on Finn Balor and got the 1-2-3 victory. No, he did not. Not for a second should you believe that the Blue Thunder Bomb is going to end a match, except for the one time it did. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." They were very much into this match. And then they fought on the outside some more. And at one point, Sami Zayn jumped off the kickoff panel desk onto Judgment Day. And then one of them, I think it was Bálor, maybe it was Priest. No, it was Dominic. Excuse me, it was Dominic. Dominic was out there continuing to interfere. Dominic was laid out on a table, and there was a balcony there where people enter the arena from. And Owens climbed up the balcony. Think of the 2000 Royal Rumble, Hardys versus Dudleys, when Jeff Hardy did that swanton off the balcony. Basically, it was that spot. Kevin Owens coming off with the swanton, and the fans reacting there, especially this one fan that was being an assistant to Kevin Owens. Owens was trying to make sure he had his balance. And this guy was having the time of his life. Like, he got to see this cool moment right up front there. It was fun. And thankfully, Owens was okay from this. Could have ended poorly for him, but he did deliver the swanton. And we got the fight going back into the ring. And then we had Sami Zayn on the verge of scoring the pinfall. He hit the haluva kick. JD McDonough showed up and pulled Zayn out of the ring at the last minute. So now it was 4-on-2, and then it became 5-on-2 when Rhea Ripley arrived and basically tackled Kevin Owens through the barricade. And then Zayn somehow still managed to avoid the coup de grace from Bálor. He hit the haluva kick, but then Dominic hit Zayn with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Bálor got the 1-2-3 victory. Judgment Day, your new tag team champions. The epic, well, at least it started epic, title run of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn has come to an end. It was an excellent match. My only real criticism, and then I'm getting to these super chats, I think that it did not make sense that nobody helped out Zayn and Owens. You had Dominic out there, and then JD McDonough, and then Rhea Ripley. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, do they not have any friends? Cody Rhodes was back there. Was he jerking off or something? Somebody else was there. We'll get to that in just a minute. He was not there. It was not very nice of him. And Drew McIntyre, I know they were not booked for the show, but you would think they would be backstage in case they needed to be called on for a match. Like, nobody came out there to help Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So, I mean, other than that, match was fantastic. Very fun match. And Gomer Kyle sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you for that, Gomer. I appreciate it. Says, yay, another can they coexist as a tag team champion storyline. I enjoyed all your content this week. Thank you and cheers. I appreciate it very much, Gomer Kyle. And yes, now we have to wonder, can Finn Bálor and Damian Priest coexist as champions? Looks like Judgment Day will be staying together for a while, but of course there's still JD McDonough. And will he be initiated into the group, or will Priest still be against it? And that'll create conflict between the new tag team champions. I'm a little surprised of the title change because you got Street Profits, and I feel like they're going to be heels. So you could have had them feud with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And you could have had Austin Theory and Grayson Waller as a tag team to maybe challenge Zayn and Owens. I just feel like there are some heel teams you can have challenge Owens and Zayn. But at the same time, now there's the intrigue about Judgment Day and will they in fact stick together as champions? And they're actually a group, which helps as well, instead of just two guys thrown together. Caleb Jacobs sent in a $14.86 super chat. Thank you for that, Caleb. I appreciate it. He says, I heard Vince is having health issues, so Triple H was probably in charge. Fun fact, Finn Bálor is officially a Grand Slam champion. I saw the tweet from Finn Bálor boasting that. Congratulations to Bálor for his success in WWE. And yeah, Vince recently had what was called serious back surgery. And Triple H is running the show, as he's pretty much been, although Vince was reportedly making last-minute changes, and maybe now he's not doing that as much because he's recuperating. Let's see what we got here. Dave Scheffler sent in $5. Thank you for that, Dave. He says, do you think Judgment Day won because Sami Zayn and KO have legitimate injuries? I don't think KO and Sami Zayn would be out there if they had legit injuries. I think it was done to just build some intrigue and change things up a little bit. Maybe have the baby faces chase. And I do see that perspective with KO and Sami Zayn. Like, once they won the titles, then it's a feeling of like, now what? Now they actually have to try and fight to win back the titles and chase it. So I do think it was a good move, but at the same time, I also feel like you could have had Street Profits win the titles, or have Austin Theory and Grayson Waller win the titles. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, do you think Damian Priest gets too greedy and loses the cash in? I hope he doesn't. I do want to see him be successful, and he could be a transitional champion. Like, you could have him cash in on Rollins. And that's the other thing too. If Priest is chasing the world title, he's got the tag titles right now kind of as a distraction. But maybe Priest could cash in and be a transitional champion, and Cody could beat Damian Priest and then fight John Cena for that world title, maybe Saudi Arabia, before John Cena goes back to Hollywood. Michael sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Raquel should have tried to help too. She could have, but maybe she was focused on her title match, and she's a little bit selfish and wanted to be 100% and not get out there before it was time for her match. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out a logical reason for why she was not out there. But yes, it would have made sense for her to come out there and try and combat Rhea Ripley. We had Pyro going off for Judgment Day. And then we had the Grayson Waller effect with special guest Cody Rhodes. Cody had a big announcement. We had some back and forth between these two. And then Cody revealed that main event Jey Uso is now part of the Monday Night Raw roster, which is interesting. I like it. Get Jey back on TV, number one. But more importantly, you're keeping Jey and Jimmy separate for now. Kind of like what they did last year when Rey Mysterio was moved to SmackDown. That way they were able to keep Rey and Dominic apart for a while, which I think that's what they're doing here so they can do the slow build for WrestleMania. Jey versus Jimmy Uso. I do think it makes sense, Brian, because Jey is, at least for now, distant from the bloodline. They're on SmackDown. He's on Raw. He can put the bloodline behind him and focus on a solo career. I do think it makes sense. But of course, eventually their paths are going to cross again, Royal Rumble or something like that. And that'll lead to a WrestleMania match. Jey came to the ring. Crowd was going crazy. I feel like he had a little bit of a remix of his theme song. Still sounded like his music with the Usos, but a little bit different. Still sounded good. That's the important thing. And then Grayson Waller started trash talking, and that led to Jey giving Grayson Waller a super kick and taking him down. Good stuff here. And we got some strong baby faces on Raw. Maybe that's a reason why Judgment Day won, because you need some strong heels and they need to be built even stronger, because you got Cody, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and now you got main event Jey Uso as a top baby face on Monday Night Raw. Some people thought this was a trade, like Cody Rhodes going over to SmackDown, but I don't think that's the case right now. Endeavor representative sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I quit. I quit. You quit what, Endeavor? What do you quit? Are you quitting because of CM Punk? Tell me what you're quitting. Dave Scheffler sent in $5. Thank you for that, Dave. Says, hi, Aaron. I really thought Cody was saying that he was traded to SmackDown for Jey and was why he was going to Raw. Some people did seem confused about that, but my impression is Cody just wanted to announce that Jey was coming over to Raw. But it would make sense to do a trade, and that way you could have Cody on SmackDown so it's not so painfully obvious that he'd be winning the Royal Rumble and challenging Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Make it a little bit more unpredictable since he's on the SmackDown brand and he could be in a SmackDown Elimination Chamber match or something to qualify and not necessarily have to win the Royal Rumble. But my impression is that it was just Cody announcing Jey for Monday Night Raw, and it was not actually a trade. And Steve-O, I don't know what the deal is. Cody has authority. He is announcing Jey. I don't know. He's just good buddies with Jey. I guess he wanted to be the one to announce it. And like I said earlier, where the hell was Jey to help out Sami and KO? Pretty selfish of Jey. Not very oozy of him to help his old friend Sami Zayn. I guess Cody did use the line that he had some stroke, and I guess he wanted to make that announcement. Oh, okay. Endeavor representative clarified what he meant. He quits his job. The show was a turd sandwich. He's just at the end of his rope and can't take it anymore. He quits. Sorry to see you go, Endeavor representative. I'm sorry you did not like the show. You could always watch CM Punk over on AEW. Oh, wait. No, you can't. So you're kind of screwed. We had Raquel challenging Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. Match was decent, but I think it went on for way too long. Crowd did not seem too much into it. They did cheer a little bit and chant, but it was mostly for Rhea Ripley, and she's the heel. The problem here was I don't think people were really all that invested in Raquel, and because of that, the match lacked some energy. When there were cheers, they were for Rhea Ripley, and it was back and forth, and Raquel tried to hit a power bomb, but botched it or something. And Rhea Ripley took control when she targeted the leg of Raquel, the one that was injured a couple of weeks ago. Rhea applied a submission, but Raquel was able to get out of that. And they went to the outside of the ring. Raquel did hit a power slam, could not make a pin, and then Raquel sent Rhea into the barricade, sent her shoulder first into the ring post, and at this point, Dominic came down to the ring, and Raquel was distracted. She power slammed Dominic. That allowed Rhea Ripley to target the bad leg once again, and then Rhea picked up the victory with the Riptide. No surprise here. Rhea Ripley wins. Match was all right, but honestly, don't think it needed to be on this show. People might have complained one women's match on the show, but 6 matches, they could have cut it to 5, made the show a little bit shorter and a little bit better, in my opinion. It felt like a glorified Raw TV match. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, at least Jey isn't a quieter like Mr. Brooks. If you know, you know. Yeah, that's a little throwback to 2014. I do remember that. We had our main event of the evening, which was Seth Freakin Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the Raw World Heavyweight Championship. Cool intro for Nakamura. They had like a vignette with these different comic book images of Rollins and Nakamura, basically telling the story that Nakamura would take advantage of the bad back. The problem with this match is, again, similar problem as the Rhea Ripley match. And that's that I don't think anybody really bought into Nakamura having a chance of winning this match. And they kind of did the same story. Somebody trying to exploit an injury. In Rhea's match, she was targeting the bad leg of Raquel. In this match, it was Nakamura targeting the bad back of Seth Rollins. So it was basically doing the same story 2 matches in a row. I agree with Steve-O. I think they should have had Gable and Gunther in place of, if they were going to do 6 matches, I think that this should have been in place of Rhea and Raquel. Even though that match was predictable too. I think they missed the opportunity with having Kurt Angle be in Chad Gable's corner for the match. And yes, it would have been a bummer. Gunther would have still won. But I think that maybe it would have added a little bit of intrigue. Could Chad Gable pull it off with Kurt Angle there in Pittsburgh, in Kurt's hometown? They didn't do it. It's on Raw. Gunther's winning. Whatever. Should be a really good match, but could have been a great pay-per-view match. Great Muta was there at ringside to watch. He was billed as a WWE Hall of Famer, which he is. Shout out to Levy first time making it for a live review. I very much appreciate you coming in the chat and being a longtime supporter. Thank you. Feeling out process between Nakamura and Rollins. And like I said, Nakamura was targeting the back. Could not get the win, though. Rollins started to make a comeback. Had trouble, though, making covers. He was still hurting. He hit a frog splash. Nakamura kicked out of that. Nakamura regained control, applied an armbar submission, but Rollins was able to counter that with a sit-out powerbomb. Went for the pedigree. First attempt, he couldn't hit it. Second time, he did deliver the pedigree. Went for a curb stomp. Nakamura avoided that, but then Rollins was able to finally hit the curb stomp and score the 1-2-3 victory. Levy sent in a $1 sticker super chat. Thank you for that, Levy. I appreciate it. Rollins retained the title. No surprise here. Match was good, but kind of felt a little bit flat, unfortunately, especially considering how great the tag match was and the opening match. I feel like either of those could have closed out the show, and you could have given the women the main event spot here. Like, I really do think Becky and Trish exceeded pretty much everyone's expectations. Michael sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Michael. Says, so having Becky and Tiffany feud is to try and have Becky and Rhea apart from each other. Is she the only real challenger to Rhea? I did forget to mention that. There was a backstage confrontation. Tiffany Stratton, the NXT Women's Champion, was in the building, and she did confront Becky backstage, and they essentially teased a match with Becky going for the NXT Women's Championship, since she's actually never held that title. And yeah, this could be something for Becky to keep her busy until we get closer to WrestleMania. Yeah, right now, I know people have mixed feelings about Becky, but I think that's the WrestleMania match. Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley for the title. I mean, they're the two biggest stars on Raw and arguably the two biggest stars in the entire women's division. So that's what I would go with right now. And I do think that the Tiffany feud is just something for Becky to do for the time being. All in all, I did think Payback was a very good show. Two great matches, the cage match and the tag team match. Main event was good. The other matches were all right. LA Knight versus The Miz was entertaining. You had John Cena out there to help out. I'm going as high as a B+ for this one. Not too long of a show. It was about a little under 3.5 hours, which I would prefer 3, but you know, it was still very entertaining overall, and the matches got plenty of time, maybe a little bit too much time in a couple of cases. Levy says, Punk confronts Rollins post-match, love it or hate it. We mentioned this during the CM Punk stream, and thank you for the super chat, Levy. If CM Punk returns, and that's a big if, I still will believe that when I see it, I think he'll show up in Chicago or Royal Rumble. One of those two places, if he's even coming back. And I would think if you're bringing back CM Punk, Roman Reigns would be the most logical choice for an opponent. But if they want to keep their plan with Cody intact, then they could have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins maybe at WrestleMania. But again, I would not get my hopes up on that happening. We'll talk more about CM Punk in the coming days. No DQ review will be on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about CM Punk. Endeavor Consultant sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Good evening. I am officially taking over the position of overseeing the WWE and Endeavor deal. I will be here each week. New gimmick. New month. It's September now. New gimmick. Looking forward to some of these comments. Endeavor consultant. Should be a good one. And that deal is supposed to close by the end of the month. We're getting very close to it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens once that deal has been finalized. That's all I got for Payback. Very good show, despite the lack of hype for it. And I feel like All Out will be similar. Bryan Danielson is back. He's going to be facing Ricky Starks. I heard the Young Bucks were on Collision for the first time. All of a sudden, people are on Collision that usually don't appear. Looks like this little soft brand split is over now that CM Punk is gone. Endeavor Consultant sent in a $2 super chat, says, not if I have anything to say about it. Interesting. I guess we'll have to wait and see if Endeavor Consultant can change the wheels of time as we head into this finalized sale between WWE and Endeavor. I'll be back after All Out. It'll be very late. It'll probably be later than right now. It's almost a quarter after midnight. This will likely be when I'm getting started with the All Out recap, but I will be back for that. Should be the only stream of the day unless something else crazy happens. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Take care. Much love and appreciation to you all. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.